Hello, everyone. Welcome. I see it's going to take a couple minutes for everyone to join. My name is Wes Lipschultz, and I'm here with the University of Pittsburgh. As people are joining, I just wanted to say that we're really excited to share the Master of Data Science at the University of Pittsburgh with you. This is an online master's degree, and I'm just saying this for now to make sure that you know that you're in the right place, assuming that that's what you've come to hear about. So as people are joining, I just want to let you know that we're going to have a presentation for you on the Master of Data Science, the online program at the University of Pittsburgh that's rolling out shortly. We'll give you those details in a moment. I'm just going to give a minute for all the participants to land in this room. I'm excited. We're filling up pretty nicely. It looks like we've got a good interest in this program. We're already at 124. Let's see if it goes a little bit higher. Okay, it looks like it's leveling out a little bit. So let me go to the slide in a moment where I start to introduce the presenters, and we'll go from there. Again, for those of you who are just joining, this is the presentation from the University of Pittsburgh on the Master of Data Science, and a new online program that's coming soon, and we're going to give you those details in a moment. So with that in mind, let me just say welcome. There's the two presenters today, one of whom is myself. I'm Wes Lipschultz, and Adam Lee is my co-presenter. We're here because Dr. Lee is one of the architects of this program, and I am responsible for a lot of the student services for this new program. So you want to hear from some of the people that are involved, boots on the ground, with this new Master of Data Science, the online program at the University of Pittsburgh. So we're going to share this program with you now, and let's take a moment to introduce ourselves in a little bit more depth, and then we'll go into giving you the details about the program. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to share this with you.
Thanks, Wes. Welcome, everybody. We're really excited to be here today. As Wes said, my name is Adam Lee. I'm a professor in our Department of Computer Science, and I'm the Executive Associate Dean here at the School of Computing and Information at Pitt. I've been at Pitt since 2008. My research interests are in computer security and privacy, with a lot of recent focus on Internet of Things and lots of data-oriented privacy concerns. So I'm very excited about this program. Administratively, I've taken on roles that include Director of Graduate Studies in Computer Science, Associate Dean for Academic Programs here in the School of Computing and Information, and now Executive Associate Dean. I'm very interested in new program development, trying to bring interesting opportunities to our students. And I've had the good fortune of being able to work with Wes for 7 or 8 years now on sort of the student-facing side of our school. So it's been a lot of fun. Outside of the classroom, I like spending a lot of time outside with my kids and my wife and my pets. Skiing, hiking, biking, that sort of stuff. And when I get the chance, I love playing guitar occasionally with Wes, and working on carpentry and woodworking projects.
Thanks, Adam. And you gave a little bit of a foreshadowing to some of my hobbies as well. So I'm Wes Lipschultz. My official title is a very long one. It's a Senior Director of Student and Academic Affairs in the School of Computing and Information at Pitt. I'm also the Student Success Lead for this particular program, the Master of Data Science. And I've been at the School of Computing and Information since 2007, but I've been a professional in higher ed for about 29 years. And as an aside, I have to say this program is probably the most exciting thing that I've seen in those 29 years. So I'm really glad to share this with you. My background, I started as an academic advisor and an advising administrator, but since then, I've done a tour of duty with a lot of different areas within higher ed: recruitment, student success, experiential learning, admissions, and more. So I have a pretty holistic picture of what the student experience is and what offerings can be for students. My background's in social psych and instructional systems, and outside of my profession in higher education, I'm married to a wonderful woman, Christine. I'm a father to Claire, and I say human father to my dog, Rosie. And in terms of music, it's a passion of mine. I play piano, keyboards, harmonica, ukulele. I also, like Adam, like the outdoors, which includes hiking, and then two-wheel vehicles, and then vehicles that allow me to explore the outdoors, which is why I put convertibling there, which is probably not a word, but I would argue that it should be.
Now you've gotten to know us a little bit, we'd like to get to know a little bit about you all. We're going to launch a couple of polls here. We're curious, when was the last time you were in the classroom, either physically or virtually? As a second poll, to sort of help keep Wes and I on track with ourselves, what are you hoping to learn today with this webinar? I'm going to make sure we cover all of our bases.
And while we're giving you a second to fill out that poll, I'll transition to an outline in a moment. Just want to say, I mean, technically it looks like there are 176 folks on this call, and so there could be a very varied spread of background and interests. And some of you may be wondering, is this a good fit? And I think it's nice to get a sense of the cohort and some of the other people that are interested in this, so you can sort of see, similarities and differences. And it's okay. We're expecting and hoping to have people from a variety of different backgrounds with a variety of different motivations for this particular degree. And so we'll be sharing that summary with you as well. So again, you might need a little more time, but as we're doing that, let me jump over to today's agenda so you can get a sense of what to expect out of what we're going to cover today. So essentially, we're going to talk about what data science is. I mean, after all, if you're going to get a master's in data science, you ought to know what it is. Some of you might have a sense of that, but we'll go into a little bit more depth so you can get a real sense of what this master's is all about. And then not only that, if you're going to invest the time and money in this, what can you get out of it? What will this do? And we would argue a lot. This is a really crucial skill set that you'll be able to get out of this degree. So we'll go into that and the kinds of positions that you might be able to go into upon graduation. And then, of course, very pragmatic housekeeping details that I would certainly want to know if I was a prospective student for this. How long does it take and what's it cost? What's it going to set me back in terms of time and money? We're going to go over that. And then let's say, hopefully, we've gotten you excited about this and you want to give it a try. How do you do that? What are the next steps? What's the timeline for that? So we'll do that. And then at the end, as we unfold these details to you, I'm sure you might have some nuanced questions. And again, they can be answered as you go along through the Q&A. We've got folks fielding questions, but there might be some that are worth coming up at the end. So really, there's three ways that we're interacting with you here. One is the poll, so we can get a sense of if there's anything we want to discuss at the end based on the outcome of the polls. The other is real-time questions that you can ask while this is happening that our staff will answer as it goes along. And then at the end, we'll open the floor up for Q&A if there are some questions that we should maybe address in more depth at the end that came up during the presentation, or something that you think about right then and there. So we'll give you some time to do that as well. Okay, so let me basically start on this. So data science, what's the deal? Why do this? Well, first of all, and why do it here? So the University of Pittsburgh, and when I say here, it's still online, but you are still, your identity, your academic identity with this will be the University of Pittsburgh. And Pitt is a highly ranked Research One institution. It is a known quantity with a great deal of respect. So a master's degree from this university gives you some street cred pretty instantly. And basically, a master's in data science is essentially used to drive innovation with data. And if you think about it, there's been information floating around for quite some time now, where as humans, with all the tech devices and whatnot that we have, we're generating information faster than we know what to do with it, right? So we have more information than we know what to do with it. And we need to have people who are proficient and very good at making sense of that data, and then making innovations from it and making strategic decisions. And that is the space in which you would live with this master's degree. And just in general, why do this? Again, on average, master's degree holders earn 200% more than high school grads and 25% more than those with an undergrad degree. And the median annual salary for data scientists as of May of 2022 was $103,000 a year. So it's a really good return on investment for the time and energy and money that you would put into this degree, as you will see as this unfolds and we share more data with you. And to put that into like more summary perspective, master's degree holders on average have a lifetime earning of 3.2 million. So that is not a small amount of money, and that can change sort of the trajectory of a family based on that earning potential. So this is really a great opportunity, and we're going to give you some more details about that as this unfolds.
So what is data science, right? Data science is not computer science, is not information science, is not library science, is not domain science. It's sort of the confluence of many disciplines, right? With the key crux being that the goal here is to take lots of data, structured or unstructured, and be able to extract insights that help guide decision making. And to make help companies, help organizations, help researchers, make the right decisions based on the data that's collected. Do that. And this, covers everything from ingesting data to cleaning up data, storing data and data processing, doing analysis on data, and importantly, communicating about that data. And in our program, we're going to cover all of these things, as well as put a spin on your experience here to look at responsible decision-making and ethical use of data. Slide, please. And this is a skill set that can find employment in many, many different sectors. You might see job titles like data scientists or data analysts or data coordinators, data engineers. And this is across sectors, right? So business, healthcare, supply chain, market research, you name it. Probably many of you have or have had jobs where you were working with lots of data in an informal capacity, and are maybe looking to structure your knowledge around the management of that data to help make better use of it.
Okay, so that's a bit of a start about the masters and what it's all about. But okay, so there are lots of masters out there, right, in the U.S. and abroad, and there are lots of online programs. So why this one? How is this designed to meet your needs? And this is what is giving me such excitement for my 29-year career in higher education. This is actually designed for adult learners and working professionals who want to upskill and reskill. It's not a stepping stone for somebody who has that tech background. So with that in mind, we don't assume a STEM background in you at all. And when I say STEM, that basically translates into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? So if somebody has that background, they're welcome to do this if they have an undergrad degree, but you don't have to have any background in that whatsoever. As long as you have an undergrad degree that's, accredited, a 4-year US undergrad degree, you've got the background. So we would give you all of the background in tech as part of the program. And also the flexibility of this is tremendous. It's 100% online and asynchronous, meaning that if you're working full-time, if you have other responsibilities, you don't need to worry about coordinating your schedule around a class schedule. That being said, I think it's just the right amount of structure as well, because even though it's asynchronous, you would be expected to touch base on a weekly basis, and it does follow like a regular term structure the way an on-campus program would. It's just that you work at your own pace on a weekly basis, whether it's 3 in the morning, at noon, 7 a.m., or during the afternoon. Whatever works best for you is what we can do. And in terms of who's teaching this, it's same faculty that teach the the on-campus classes. These are the ones that are building the curriculum for this master's. So you would be having the same level of knowledge and the same expertise being conveyed to you as the on-campus students. Okay, so we have let's put this into another poll question as well, just to get a sense of where you're at with this. So right now, since even though this is upskilling and maybe designed for career changers, returning adults, what have you been working on now? Where are you at? We just want to get a sense of that. And just to be clear, you could be somebody who has a lucrative career, but you're like, wow, maybe the data end of what I'm doing would give me greater earning potential. I want to use data in the realm that I already have expertise. Or you're in between jobs and looking for something new to do, and you want to find something that gives you a whole entirely new skill set, and you're starting from scratch with a new career. Or you're just curious about this. You have something that you're like, I like what I'm doing now, but I really want to try something else. I've heard a lot about data and tech, and I feel like it would be lucrative. You could do this too. So again, as we get that sense of this, what have you been working on? This is another way where we can get a sense of those people that are interested in the degree. So let's see. Okay. And the other one would be basically, why are you planning to pursue this degree? So we really want to know not only what you've been working on, so we'll give you a chance to start with that, but what do you want to get out of this degree too? Is it something where you're interested in it? Is it starting a new career? Is it for a better salary? Do you think you could be promoted in your current work environment? And in some cases, one of the things I didn't even mention is that some employers, you might be lucky enough to work for an employer that has some kind of education benefits. And typically those education benefits wouldn't be full time. They'd be like, you're a part-time student while you work for the company. We'll pay X amount per semester or per year in support of you furthering your education. And that is the kind of thing where, based on our price point and how that's organized, that would be useful and helpful to you as well.
All right. So let's take a look actually at the poll responses here that just came through, right? Folks are looking for a good 31% of you are looking to increase earning potential, 27% to join a new industry, 12% looking to pursue a promotion within a current job, 6% because your employer will support it, 16% to explore a personal interest, and 7% for others. So that's a good spread of reasons to pursue the degree. And these are things that we had in mind when building it. So we'll talk through some of this right now. So the features of this degree are that we are structured like any other master's degree at the University of Pittsburgh. So all of our master's degrees here at Pitt tend to be, or most of them tend to be, between 30 and 36 credits. So this is a 30 credit master's degree structured as 10 courses that are 3 credits each. Each course is offered during an academic semester, either the fall, spring, or summer. And, assuming that most folks are probably going to pursue this at a part-time pace while employed, given the responses that we just saw on our poll, the time to complete would probably be 20 to 36 months if you're taking, 1-2 courses a semester. Interestingly, this master's does not, this master's degree does not have a traditional application. So we're not going to be asking for letters of recommendation or personal statements. Instead, we're using something called performance-based admissions. The way that this works is that you will take the introductory course for this degree, which is Intro to Data-Centric Computation. And by getting a B or better in that course and us being able to verify your undergraduate degree, you'll be admitted to the full master's program. You'll be able to experiment with part of that performance-based admissions course in what's called open content for free. So very soon that will be published, and you can get a feel for what the curriculum for that course is like and engage with some of the assessments for the course. And those will actually be transferable if you enroll in the 4-credit version of that course. The curriculum is structured, like I said, we start with the Introduction to Data-Centric Contribution. That's our performance-based admissions pathway course. After you complete that course, we have 2 foundation courses, one on mathematical and statistical foundations, and another on responsible data science that introduces ethical frameworks and looking at responsible use of data. From there are 3 more core courses, one on managing querying and preserving data that looks at relational data, graph data, and sort of principles of data organization and availability. We have a course on applied predictive modeling that looks at applications of machine learning and prediction within data science, and a course on data visualization to help start to tell stories and communicate with data. From there, you have some choices in electives. We have courses that sort of continue down the sort of machine learning and data analytics path, looking at applied Bayesian data analysis, applied deep learning, or text as data, by looking at unstructured textual data. And we've also got a course on cloud computing for data scientists that looks more at the data management and data infrastructure side of things. And then all students will finish out by taking a capstone course on case studies in data science that looks at sort of the full pipeline from, data ingestion and analysis all the way out to telling a story that your data helps you find. This course, as Wes said earlier, is designed, created, and will be delivered by the same faculty who teach on campus in our on-campus programs. There's a small number of the faculty who have contributed. Professor Joe Yurko, on the right here, came to us from industry. So he was a practicing data scientist for a number of years, and then came to Pitt and did a bunch of work to help work on our designing and implementing data science and machine learning curriculum around campus. He is the one architecting the intro course. He has recently gone back to industry to lead a data analytics team at a company here, but he's remained involved in the curriculum and is bringing that critical industry eye to make sure that what we're delivering is going to help you be successful in the real world. Professor Nora Mattern in the middle is a faculty member in our Department of Information Culture and Data Stewardship, which she teaches in our library science program. Her interests are very oriented around community data and responsible data science. And so looking at ways that data can empower communities and help people make decisions. She's been involved in a number of our efforts in the data science space here on campus. And she's the director of Pitt's Sarah Fine Institute, which focuses on issues around technology and society. And so she'll be designing and delivering our course on responsible data science, and then helping ensure that those themes are throughout the rest of the curriculum as well. The last person here on this slide is Professor Morgan Frank, who's a faculty member in our Department of Informatics and Network Systems. And his research looks at the complexity of AI, the future of work, and socioeconomic consequences of technology change. He does lots of work with very diverse data sources in a very multidisciplinary manner, and looks at how we can use labor economics, sociology, computational social science, network science, data science, political science, and complex systems to understand really complicated issues in the world around us. And so this is just like a smattering of the folks who've contributed, but the goal of this program is to bring together a lot of perspectives on data, on algorithms, and on applications, and on this responsible use of data to ensure that we're packaging a curriculum that's going to help you in many, many different application areas.
So this program is built by experts, as we've just evidenced. And how do you get access to it? Is it realistic for you? This is something you need to ask yourself. And again, this is part of what excites me about this. In terms of access and affordability, the full degree costs $15,000. That is $500 per credit or $1,500 per course. We have 3 credit courses, and there are 10 of them. So the whole thing is $15,000 for the entire degree. And we would contend that that structure spread out over semesters is very compatible with most companies' educational benefits for those that offer them. Additionally, whether you're taking 1 class at a time or 2 classes at a time, for example, and if you're paying out of pocket, there are payment plans available through the university where you don't have to pay everything at once. You can spread it out over time. And I saw some questions bubbling up in the Q&A about financial aid. Yes, if you're eligible for federal aid through the federal application for student aid, this is a degree like any other. And so just like any other degree, you would be considered for aid based on the rules of federal aid allocation. So financial aid is a possibility with this degree as well. And in terms of student resources, okay, so we've told you, got 10 classes, you're going to take them, you'll have a classroom environment online, but honestly, it's very much like an on-campus degree to the extent that there's still faculty office hours. You get to talk to real people live. There's still teaching assistants and academic support. So if you have questions or you need, extra help or you have trouble, those kinds of things, just like in a traditional classroom, you've got those resources available to you. And additionally, there's outside of the classroom resources that you could expect from the same as an on-campus degree, namely things to help you with your success. We'll have academic advisors that you can interact with if you have questions. I mean, again, most of the degree is structured, but you do have some choices with electives, and so you could talk to an advisor about that if you need to. And again, career resources, just like any other degree would have. We have people that can help prepare your resume, do mock interviews, those kinds of things, prepare you for interviews, and even to help you engage with employers. Those are the kinds of outside of the classroom resources that you might expect. And we've got them. And this is part of what you would have as being a member of this degree. And in terms of what you need to begin, as we sort of talked about, let me just rehash this a little bit. You would start with a performance-based admissions class, right? So again, just to sort of connect the dots, when Dr. Lee was reviewing the curriculum with you, you saw some of those seem pretty fancy, like Bayesian, right? Like it sounds like, oh, this seems like somebody who needs to be technical to know this. It's like, no, you don't have to have any technical knowledge to start. What you would do is you could, again, this will be released soon, the open course content before you even register for the degree, you could start to play around with the intro course, the performance-based admission course content to see if it's engaging to you, if you're interested in it. And if you like it, then you can enroll in the class, the single performance-based admissions class course. And as long as you complete it with a B or better, that is your admission. That's how you begin. And additionally, just to let you know, I mentioned briefly before that the other prerequisite, so to speak, is that you have an undergraduate degree. And by that, that is an accredited 4-year undergrad degree from a U.S. institution or the equivalent to that. So as long as you have proof that you are, graduated, then that's the other piece of it, in addition to completing the course with a B or better. In most, if not many cases, we'll be able to do an automated degree verification process. Like when you enroll and when you submit the information you need to enroll in the performance-based course, you'd have to list what your degree is, where you got it from, and there's a way we can actually check to make sure that you have that degree conferred. There's a database we can look through. And if we can do that automatically, we will. In cases where we can't, or if you're an international student who has to have an equivalency evaluation, we will accept those as well. And then if you happen to be an international student, the other thing that you would need to show is that you have a certain minimum level of proficiency with English to be able to succeed in the degree. And the way that you would provide that proof is by a minimum score on an English assessment standardized test, either the TOEFL, the IELTS, or the Duolingo test. So those are the pieces of what you need to begin and make this work for you to be admitted into the master's program.
And so if you're interested in getting started, very shortly, our enrollment form will be opening up. So keep your eye on either the Pitt page or the Coursera page for this program to find the link to that form. You'll fill out a fairly short form asking for some basic personal information. And this kicks off your ability or your enrollment in the performance-based admissions course, as well as it starts the process on our side to try to verify an undergraduate degree. If we're unable to do that in an automated manner, you will hear some outreach from us to help, track down transcripts to verify that. But particularly if your degree is from a U.S. institution, the hope is that most of that can be automated away. In May, classes will start. So the first program will launch along Pitt's 12-week summer term. That'll begin on May 13th, 2024. And if you pass that PBA course with a B average or better over the summer, you will be admitted into the Masters of Data Science fully to pursue the rest of the coursework beginning in the fall 2024 term. So now we just want to hit a couple of important takeaways from the meeting before we go into the open Q&A. So as I said, the big X's on the right, we're not using a traditional admissions pathway. So there's not a formal application for admissions. We're not requiring SATs or GREs or any other standardized test. We're not asking for letters of recommendation, and we're not making assumptions about your prior programming experience, STEM background, et cetera. The goal is that, if you've got an earned bachelor's degree, we can work from that part to provide you the foundations you need to move forward. To be admitted into the Masters of Data Science, you'll need to pass the performance-based admissions course with a B or better. We do need to verify that you have earned a prior bachelor's degree. And like I said, that might be automated. We might need your help in tracking down transcripts if we can't do that in an automated way. And then, as Wes said on the last slide, international students, we do need to establish English proficiency, either, and this can be done either through standardized tests that Wes had talked about, or if you'd earned a prior degree from a U.S. institution or in a country where the primary language is English.
Thanks, Adam. And again, just to circle back and summarize a couple of other key takeaways in terms of access and affordability, the full tuition price for the entire degree for all 30 credits, all 10 classes, is $15,000 total. That's $1,500 per course. And whatever level that you enroll at, payment plans are available. Federal aid is available for those who qualify for federal aid for any degree that they would choose. And then if you're part of a company that does employee benefits, these would map nicely to the timing and price of this degree. And just like in an on-campus degree program, You will have many student services that will help you with your success and to navigate the program. There will be live faculty office hours, teaching assistants, and academic support for each class, and then student services through advising and career counseling and career support as well. So that is the overview, what we wanted to share, so you have the basic information on what you would need to know. I saw that there are quite a few questions that circled back through the entirety of our presentation. So now we'll open this up to see what other questions we can discuss now. So we can look at essentially some of the questions that are still floating around that might need some help from some of our staff to see which ones you think we should address first and discuss, because I see some still that are open. There are quite a few. So I'm thinking what I could do is scrolling up the ones that are starting at 11:07. I see one from Michael that says, will I count as a full-time Pitt student and be eligible for things like healthcare coverage? Unless I hear otherwise, we can just start with these and go from there. My understanding, and again, others can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the structure of this degree is typically one that would be designed to be part-time, again, for returning adults and for people that are moving at a pace that's less than full-time. So in that sense, it's not intended to be a full-time degree. And health coverage, I don't think would work in that way. Typically, if you are a full-time Pitt student, you would still need to provide your own healthcare coverage. For example, if we have master's students on assistantships, they often will need to provide their own healthcare coverage unless it's part of that assistantship. So I think healthcare is not something that should be conflated with this degree per se. I'll give a moment in case anyone else needs to chime in with anything, but I think that's the basics for now.
Right. So, I mean, I think the important part here is that you will count as a Pitt student, right? So this is a Pitt degree. You are a Pitt student. The expectation is that most students will be part-time, and as we're rolling out courses, they'll be rolled out on a part-time cadence. Eventually, you might be able to hit full-time enrollments, but at least for the first term or two, it'll be more of a part-time offering. You would have access to the ability to get health insurance. It just would not be provided as part of the enrollment in the program.
And I think the next question is, what are the suggested system requirements to complete the coursework? I believe, again, I don't want to speak for Coursera per se, but I imagine any fairly standard computer that has internet access and the ability to browse and run software, I think there's a very wide swath of tech that would work. In other words, I don't think there needs to be a high-tech computer that would need to be part of this. Most standard computers that you would choose to buy for home or personal use should be just fine. And there's no mandate on whether or not it needs to be a PC or a Mac or anything along those lines. And the next question is, does the Pitt staff members' tuition benefits apply? My understanding is that that would apply in the same way that it would for any other degree that you might choose to take as a Pitt employee.
If you have specific questions about the tuition benefit, you should reach out to the benefits department. They can help you navigate that.
They can give you the more specific answers. Okay. Will there be support for internship or job searches? Yes. In fact, we have folks on staff in our school that deal with what we call experiential learning. And we have people that deal with employers and employer relationships. So we will either leverage those folks or bring in additional resources with the expectation that we would have people and resources to help you prepare for interviews, prepare your resume, do mock interviews, have networking sessions online to the extent possible with prospective employers and things like that. So that is part of the infrastructure and intent of this degree.
I can take this next question, Wes, about the class design, right? So there's a question about whether classes will be live online or pre-recorded, a combination of both, pre-recorded with live online teacher assistance hours. Will there also be assistance with teacher aides and tutoring? This is a great question. So as Wes talked about earlier, our goal here is to make this content accessible to people regardless of their work or personal situation. So the intent is that you're going to enroll in a course over the period of a single academic semester. You will have milestones throughout in which, sort of module by module where work needs to be completed. So the majority of the instructional delivery, will be pre-recorded videos, but there will be live hours. And those could be TA office hours, they could be faculty office hours, they might be demo sessions and things like this. So there'll be opportunities to engage, to learn more, or to get help in real time. But we don't want to sort of have the requirement that, you need to show up at 2 o'clock on Tuesday to take the class, because that might exclude many people's ability to do so. So the majority of the content delivery is pre-recorded, so you can go watch it at your own pace, watch it many times, go back and reference it. But there will be opportunities to engage real time with the faculty and sort of TA support staff for the courses.
And I'll take the next question. I actually think this is a good one, and I'm kind of excited about this because this is new. I'm very familiar with. I actually coordinate the graduation ceremonies for our school and have done that for quite some time. And I would say it this way: the intent is we want to treat you just as any other student in our school. And so what happens is typically in the fall and the spring we have graduate recognition ceremonies for the school on campus. But those on-campus graduation ceremonies are also live streamed and recorded. So really, you would be invited to the graduation ceremony for the school for the term that would be the closest to when you graduate. And what would happen is if you want to come to campus, I mean, some of you might be close enough where it would be fun to do, and you would have had this cohort of people that you were in classes with, and you'd be excited to meet them in person and celebrate together. You will absolutely be able to do that if you want to. But we also understand that it might not be feasible to do that travel, and we wouldn't mandate that you would come to campus. And so in that sense, you can celebrate and still be part of this remotely through the live stream or the recording of the graduation ceremony. And then for the next one about the thesis, I can take a little bit of that, and Adam, you can supplement that if you'd like. My understanding is that it's not a thesis that's required, but there's a capstone, and that capstone would involve reflection and engagement in some way. And so that capstone is essentially the culmination of the learning that you would have had in the other coursework to that point. But when you say thesis, what I'm hearing is the idea of a publishable academic paper that would be reviewed by a committee, and that is not part of what this degree would be.
That's right. So the majority of the assessments will be through, project-based learning, where you'll be carrying out, individual projects that you can use to build up a portfolio of activities that you've done throughout the program that could be useful during your job search and are sort of a hands-on demonstration of what you've learned. The capstone would be the sort of the culmination of that, where you're going to take case studies in data science and work through a longer-term project, looking at sort of the full life cycle, applying things that you've learned across the program to a single domain.
Okay, thanks. And Adam, I think these next couple might be appropriate for you to.
Yeah. So there's this. The first question here is about a specific PIT certificate. I saw a couple of other further down about having people who have taken courses at other universities and whether credit transfer is possible. And so if you've taken coursework that you believe to be equivalent, either here at Pitt or elsewhere, we do have a process for credit transfer where we can evaluate those and apply transfer credits toward the degree. And so this so for those of you at Pitt who have taken or are taking our applied data-driven methods certificate, those courses do fold into this master's, and so they kind of give you a head start there. In terms of the next question, so how much of the course will be theory versus programming and hands-on projects? This is going to be a balance of those two things, right? So it's important to be able to understand why things work, but this is more of an applied master's degree focused on job-ready skills and being able to put these tools to work immediately. So that said, a lot of it is hands-on. A lot of it is, building and testing and learning. However, one of the questions we need to be asking ourselves is, you don't want to, whenever you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You want to understand the tools that you're holding and which tools apply to which types of problems and whether you can trust the output of your tools. And so there is some amount of foundational learning in theory that's required to be able to make responsible use of the tools that you'll get to use throughout this. But it is majority sort of an applied degree. In terms of the next question here, how much time per week on a course should we expect to spend? So that's a great question. So this is a master's degree like our on-campus degrees. It's 30 credits. Each course is 3 credit hours. And a 3 credit hour course will roughly translate to sort of 9-ish hours of work per week. And that includes the time that you spent, watching the sort of recorded videos, reading any assigned readings, working on quizzes, assessments, studying and doing your projects. So sort of soup to nuts, probably 9 or 10 hours a week per course for the degree. And that's why I think for the perspective of most people who are working a full-time job, looking at, 2 courses, 1 or 2 courses is probably the right place to start to see how that plays out for you.
I think I can take if you want, or do you want? Okay. Yeah. So the 5 degree online, my understanding is that it's not. It's a degree. That indication of online is not on the transcript. One other thing that triggered, though, that I hadn't thought to mention is that because it's entirely online, for international students who may be considering this degree, you don't need to worry about immigration issues because you can remain in your home country, and because it's asynchronous, you don't need to worry about time differences or anything like that. So that's not an issue either. But my understanding is that it is on the transcript. It's just listed as a degree. I don't think that it's as specific as differentiating between online or on campus. Oh, I might ping pong the next one back to you, Adam, if that's okay.
Yeah. So are all the courses offered in all of the terms? No. So the performance-based admissions course will be offered every term, and our 2 foundational courses will be offered in every term. All of our other courses will be offered on a rotating basis. So there will be several courses offered each term, but not every course every term. While you're taking your PBA course, that is the only course that you can take. All of the other courses assume you have passed the PBA course. So for that term, you'll be a 1-course student. After that, you have some flexibility to decide how many courses you'd like to take. A related question here is, what's the maximum time allowed to finish the program? The statute of limitations on a professional master's here at Pitt is 5 years. So you've got up to 5 years to complete all of the coursework.
And I can take the next one. Will Pittsburgh residents be able to use campus amenities resources? I'll just say it this way. The exact housekeeping details of this are still being implemented, but my understanding now is that, yeah, you still get a photo ID and all of those kinds of things. The only thing that, pragmatically speaking, wouldn't be included with that would be the bus pass part of it. But if you happen to be a Pittsburgh resident, I think you could work with the advising team to figure out if something could be done in that regard to activate that particular feature. But by default, that's my understanding of the one thing that would be a resource for students that wouldn't be resident in this degree, because there's no expectation of being on campus, so it wouldn't be included. Maybe the next one for you, Adam. We're doing back and forth.
Sure, yeah. So can I take the pathway course more than once if you fail the first time? Yes, you could take the course again. In fact, there's something that I think another question I saw further down that I'll try to get at was, there were a couple of questions about the performance-based admissions course. I'll try to hit off the top of my head here. So one asked whether it was free. No, that is a credit-bearing course. If you wanted to count as admissions toward the degree, you would, enroll in it for credit. However, there is an open content portion of the course that will be made available. So this is, about 5 weeks of worth of material that you can play with for free and experiment and try some of the quizzes and self-assessments and things like this to get a feel for whether or not you think you're ready for this course, or it's the course of what you would, hope to take out of this program. So you can play with that open content for free. And when you're ready to try to, make your, application to the program through passing the performance-based admissions course, you would pay tuition to take that course as a credit-bearing course at Pitt to earn that B or better to be admitted into the program.
And it looks like the next one we already talked about are all courses available every semester, but the one piece of this that's new that wasn't before is there assistance to lay out the classes per semester for a 20-month completion time? And I think that, again, that's why we have academic advisors. They can help you sort of lay that out if you need it. So yes, there will be some assistance with that. And let's see, one of the others are, I'll put the next one back to you, Adam, if you have a thought on
Yeah.
that one.
So are all course materials digital or online, or will physical book purchase be required? Most of the books and resources that we have would be online. And in fact, most of what you need for the course is available through the course. Some people, like myself, I prefer a physical textbook. It's just easier for me to flip around in the pages. And so if you want to move through a physical textbook, that's fine. But these days, many books do have online equivalents.
Okay. And then for the next question, I mentioned that with the resources before, but yeah, you do get actually a student ID card once you're admitted, and in the program, you would be able to do that. And there is a mechanism by which to do that remotely. What if we already have a master's? Can that transfer in?
This I talked about earlier. So if you've got specific coursework that's relevant to the degree, we don't want you taking the same course again if you've already had it. So if you've earned a master's where you took a course that you believe to be equivalent, there is a credit transfer process that we can look at to see whether that course maps to something in the program and could transfer that in.
Okay. And I can get the next one. By what date should the PBA course be done? I'd like to turn that into the answer of a larger thing. Again, back to what we said before, this is an asynchronous program. However, that doesn't mean you can take as long as you want in space and time to complete it. Basically, it's still bounded by semesters, right? And so the way it's articulated for this particular master's at Pitt, the summer program, or the summer term, is the 12-week term. And then if any classes you take in the fall or spring, they're 15 weeks long. So you'd follow the university calendar schedule. So the performance-based admissions course essentially follows the regular 12-week summer schedule for all Pitt classes. Even though you're not in the classroom and there's no specific time, you'd still be expected to do weekly progress at your own pace within that structure. And as Adam had said before, I believe the first date of the summer 12-week term for this summer is May 13th. And off the top of my head, I can't do the math. I don't remember the date of the end of it, but whatever 12 weeks is from there, it's typically like the very beginning of August that it ends. But it's the standard 12-week term for Pitt. In the summer, if you're taking the PBA class in the summer, that is the time frame that you have to complete the course. And the next one, that will be part of, once this is unfolded and we get to that point, where should I send the evaluation and TOEFL score? We will be able to coordinate with that with you. You'll send emails as you get prompted. So think of it this way in terms of the timeline, how this would work. The first step would be when it's available, and if you want to, you would submit the form and pay the fee to sign up for their performance-based admissions course. Once that's done, that triggers everything else. That triggers us to look for the evaluation if you need it and the TOEFL score and whatnot. And then we would reach out to you and say, hey, congratulations on enrolling in the PBA course. Here's what we need from you, and here's where you need to send it. So you'll look for a correspondence from us that will be triggered by your enrollment in the performance-based admissions course.
So the next question is asking about the order in which courses are completed. So obviously, right, our performance-based admission course is the first course. From there, you are able to take a couple of other courses. So the Mathematical and Statistical Foundations course and the Responsible Data Science course are both available from that point. There are prerequisites that do exist throughout the curriculum. So for instance, having had the Math and Statistical Foundations and the Applied Predictive Modeling course would be prerequisite for things like applied deep learning or applied Bayesian analysis, right? So the more advanced courses are going to require some of the earlier courses. However, there is some flexibility to choose which courses you take when. So you're not going to be locked into a strongly fixed schedule. And the next question is looking at whether tuition includes books. No, tuition is just tuition. So any other resources like books are things that you would they're covered outside of the tuition expenses. There's a question about whether I can take more than 2 classes a semester. Yes, you could take more than 2 classes a semester once, depending on which courses are offered and whether you are eligible to take them based on prereqs. You could take courses at a higher load. That is possible, yes. Was tuition going to change in the future? So tuition at the university, like many universities, is set centrally and reviewed annually. And so that tuition will be, subject to rate increases, just like all of our tuition rates are subject to increase. But the undertone is the question is more, will this eventually cost as much as, an on-campus master's program? We expect this to, the rate of increase to be, comparable to other programs on campus, not for this to sort of drastically jump in tuition rate.
And I can take the next one. What's the final timeline for students? I think that for the enrolling. So I think that the essence of it is, let's say you enroll, you take the PBA course this summer, and then you're like, well, I don't know that I want to do this now. Well, there's two ways you can handle it. You can contact us to say, I'm done. I don't want to join it. I want to cancel it. I don't want to be part of it ever again. We can designate that if we need to. But actually, if you want to take some time to think about it, just like in our on-campus programs, if you're admitted, if you complete that class, you are admitted to the Master of Data Science program. And essentially, you usually have like about a year. So you can defer to up to a year if you want to, and still come back without reapplying or having to take that class again. So you really could essentially defer your admission for up to 1 year after completing the PBA maximum.
So there were some questions that came in about the open content. So, how are we going to access that and where can we find it? So I would keep your eye on the degree page on the Coursera site for an announcement about when that open content's available. And that will be accessible using your Coursera account through the Coursera platform.
Maybe the language question, is that for you too?
Sure. So what are the languages used in the capstone? Does it apply to real world use cases? So, I mean, throughout the program, you're going to be exposed to a number of different resources. Like you will see Python, you will see R, you will see SQL, you will see, various other languages sort of throughout as you do this. What gets used in the capstone will sort of depend on your approach. And so there'll be some flexibility there for you to make that decision. Those projects will be based off of real projects that we've gotten from partners. So, one of the things that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet today was that this curriculum was built not just by a group of faculty who were, sitting in a closed room talking to each other. They're faculty with lots of connections to the community, to industry. And so this brought in all of those perspectives. And we actually got a lot of feedback on the curriculum through partners on campus and beyond. So we had some folks from the IT organization here at Pitt and Pitt Athletics, some of our corporate partners that work with the School of Computing and Information, take a look at the curriculum and give feedback. And so the idea here is that we do want to teach you the languages and skills that are going to be relevant outside of the classroom.
I can take the next couple. I think that some of them are revisits. So you do have, if you're in Pittsburgh, you can use most things. The bus part of your ID would be deactivated, but you could talk to your advisor to see if there's a way to activate that. But the other resources on campus, if you're in Pittsburgh, you should be able to use. The time limit to complete the degree, there's a 5-year statute of limitations. Let's see what some of these others are if I'm missing them. All right. The syllabus, I think I might bump that over to Adam, that question about natural language processing.
Yeah, so does the syllabus include natural language processing, deep learning, or reinforcement learning? Yeah, these topics show up in a number of courses throughout the curriculum. So there's a focus on structured and unstructured data, looking, places to look at applied predictive modeling is going to touch on some of these topics. Text as data is very certainly going to touch on some of those topics. There's a course on applied deep learning. So you will be exposed to all of those topics that you mentioned there. In terms of what the PBA course entails, the idea here is that you're going to be exposed to, essentially, you're going to learn how to manipulate data with Python and get a primer on some basic statistical concepts, right? So we're going to learn how to use, data type operators and control structures in Python, use command line tools and Jupyter notebooks to develop and manage Python projects. You'll be able to write human readable code that follows sort of standard guidelines, develop programs that retrieve, parse, and clean data from multiple sources. You'll be able to perform basic statistical analysis and data visualization using Python libraries. Meaningfully apply common machine learning techniques to large data sets, and understand the use, interpretation, and evaluation of fundamental computational modeling techniques. And so this course is split sort of into a couple of different chunks, where the first piece will be looking at how to program, and then they'll be sort of split into separate areas where you pick up these additional skills as they build out. So yeah, that course is going to get you started with programming and statistical analysis and get you familiar enough with Python to do the basics in this space in a reasonable manner. So that will prime you for the rest of the curriculum. In terms of free resources to prepare, I think maybe what we're talking about here is the open content version of the course. It'll allow you to experiment and see what the course is all about before you commit to paying tuition and pursuing it that way. Based on that open content, you might decide that you want to pursue some other prep, but ideally, the goal is that this will take you from the start on.
I actually, Adam, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at the next one, although I might kick in with you for the technical expertise. But these have all been excellent questions, and this is a really good one. The next one about the field of data science evolving to no code, and how do we know that we aren't learning outdated skills? I would contend, honestly, this is not my background, but from what I've seen of the way everyone has built this, what's brilliant about this is that it's a mindset. You're being educated in a mindset, obviously with technical skills, but how do you think about data? How do you make sense of it? How do you find meaning in it? These are skills that aren't coding per se, but to the extent that thinking about data, you have to be aware of tools that can be used to suck out and analyze data. So you're learning that too. But really, if we've done our job right, the whole point of this is to train you to be able to move into the future and understand and think about data, and then figure out not only tools that exist now, but how to learn and figure out new tools later on as they arise. And so I think that's why this is, in some sense, I would contend, an evergreen degree with the way that it's framed. But Adam is the one with all of the expertise and all the languages and the data, and I'll see if he has anything else to say about that. But that's also what is exciting to me about this degree.
Right. So, I mean, I think one of the key things to keep in mind here is that there's like a collection of skills that we want to learn, right? This is not, data science isn't about just producing the output. It's about understanding the process along the way too. And so what we want to do is make sure that you're understanding what those LLMs and everything else are doing. And, yes, that is one approach that you can take, but really want to make sure that we can break down the entire process, understand the decisions that are made at each stage of the process, how that impacts the outcomes that you get, and the conclusions you can confidently make from your input data.
Cool. We're running close to time, but these are still good questions. Adam, if you have time, I'm happy to answer a couple more if you're okay answering a couple more now too.
Sure.
Okay. The research opportunities one, I would assume yes, but I would turn the floor over to Adam for that one, and then I can hit the next couple, I think.
So research opportunities. This is a program that is more designed for applied learning. Yes, you're going to work with faculty members, and so using those live hours would be an opportunity to talk about their research and perhaps to find involvement there. The focus, though, is not on sort of the sort of traditional on-campus research assistantship that you would associate with like a doctoral degree.
Yeah, so I would say it this way, and again, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not structured into the degree. There's no expectation of it. But if you really click with a faculty member and you think they're doing cool stuff, and you're like, hey, I want to get involved in a project remotely or something, and they were willing to do it, there's no reason you can't. It just wouldn't necessarily be something you would do for credit to achieve part of your the 10 classes you need to graduate. So, and then the other one, how much of a difference is there between a computer science master's and a data science master's? Actually, that one I should probably turn over to Adam too, since he is a member of the faculty in computer science.
Yeah, no, this will be sort of considerably different than a computer science master's. So computer science is a large focus on algorithms and complexity and really understanding the foundations of computation. And while there is an important aspect of understanding, algorithmic complexity in how we build code for data science. Here, the focus is more on sort of really taking data and using it to make informed decisions, right? So yes, you have to program. You have to program in computer science, you have to program in data science. But the focus on data science is really understanding that data pipeline, not necessarily digging deep into the foundations of computational theory, computational complexity. So I would put these as, sort of quite different degrees.
In terms of the rigor, I don't know that there's any quantifiable difference. Adam, do you think there's much I mean of this program versus other master's programs?
No, I mean this is a master's program that went through the same curriculum, design, evaluation, approval, and accreditation processes as all of our other degrees here on campus. So this is a University of Pittsburgh master's degree with 30 credits of coursework that's comparable to 30 credits of coursework in other master's degrees. So the difference here is in sort of the design and delivery of the material, not in the content.
Okay. Dual degree, I don't know that this is designed to evolve into a dual degree. I think it's meant as a standalone degree for people who are looking to upskill and career changers, those kinds of things. Coursera subscription. Again, all of that would be part of when you will release some of the information on the page about this for how you would do the open content. That would be done through the Coursera ecosystem for the open content, and you are utilizing Coursera to access the information. Minimum number of courses, one 3-credit course a semester.
0 to 1, 0 to 1. So you do need to, if you don't enroll for 3 consecutive terms, your student account does get deactivated and you have to readmit to the program. But sort of one course every year keeps you alive as a student at Pitt, though you only have 5 years to complete the degree. So I'd recommend taking more than one course a year.
So yeah, the upshot is you can go at a slow pace if you have a very busy life. That's one of the other things we meant by that we want to try to meet your needs with that. You'd still have to commit to some regular structure if you're taking one class. But if you could only do that, let's say in the fall and your summers are crazy at work, or your spring, you could like pop and skip a semester here and there and still make progress that way. And I think I reserve the last one for Adam to close us out.
As I said earlier, this is really going to depend on your path through the program. A lot of the coursework is in Python. You will see some R. But really what's more important here is I like to think of programming language as tools to solve a problem. And what we really want to teach you is the problem solving approach. And you should be comfortable bouncing back and forth between these sorts of things. These were all really, really great questions. And thanks everybody for showing up today and really, really poking at this.
Yeah, and this is part, yeah. Sorry.
I just want to wrap up by putting out some links here where you can keep in touch with us, keep up to date with information about the program, about the school, about the university. So we look forward to talking with all of you in the future, and stay tuned.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us for this.